What's going on there, guys? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster here on this Monday evening, December 27th, 2021. It is about 6:35 p.m. California time here along the West Coast. And latest earthquake out there on the globe, a 4.5 earthquake. Let's go ahead and bring this up here out in Texas, of all places. Of course, we've seen some oddball earthquake activity here, including some movement, a 3.3 earthquake in the Carolina region earlier. Let's go ahead and check out some activity about what's going on here on the globe. Let's go ahead and pull this up. Definitely not that one. We'll get with the program. It's just one of those. It's been one of those fun days. So there's that 4.5 around Stanton, Texas. It looks like 7.8 kilometers below the surface. Felt by quite a few folks out there around the Midland area. Looking at the Did You Feel It responses and the intensity map here shows some light to possibly around moderate shaking around the epicenter, Big Spring, well north of Odessa, Texas. There we go, spit it out. And kind of in a region where we have seen some earthquake activity before in the past, but most of that movement we're used to seeing over here around the Pecos, Texas area. A lot of fracking injection wells and whatnot going on over here. But this earthquake, 4.5, 7.8 kilometers. Let's check out the U.S. hazard map here. And it's kind of outside of that zone where they expect for as far as like potential hazards go around the fault systems. But then again, these weak crustal spots due to the fracking injection wells and the pumping operations, all those weak areas that they create in the surface and down below, it could be anywhere throughout Texas. I wouldn't even doubt it if we look it up right now. Let's go ahead and do that. Check out the, let's get rid of the U.S. hazard here, and we'll zoom into the satellite imagery here of Texas, around Stanton, Texas. And man, look at this. I could see it from this distance here, folks. From 30,000 feet when you're flying over. Whenever I fly to Texas, I'm amazed at all these injection areas. Look at this. Look at all those. I mean, I'm surprised Texas doesn't sink into a giant hole. Just a big, huge, like I don't know, like a sinkhole, a giant sinkhole, because of all these little operation things here. It's a massive scale of them, 4.5 right in the middle of them. I mean, there's no doubt this is definitely related to all of these friendly operations around here. I mean, there's thousands of them. Look at that. There's thousands. Crazy. All right, so we know what that is. Definitely related to fracking and whatnot in that area of Stanton. 7.8 kilometers below the surface for that earthquake. Man-made, I believe, strongly. What else we got here in Texas area? Just a little bit of movement around the Pecos, Texas area, Guadalupe Peak region. The Virginia Draw area. Rustler Hills, Minotone, Texas. 5.0 kilometers for that 2.6 magnitude earthquake. Looking at the movement over here along the eastern part of the country, once again, we did see some movement. 3.3 earthquake originally came in as a 2.5, then upgraded to a 2.9, and then upgraded to 3.3. So all over the place, but quite a few folks did report feeling that 3.3 earthquake this morning. It has since been followed up by a couple small aftershocks of 2.5 and a 2.1, much shallower. Of course, all this activity located in between, or at least what is in between all that activity. The New Madrid zone does sit here. It looks pretty quiet, at least for today. We have seen some movement around the New Madrid zone over the last 30 days. A lot of microquake activity within that region of the New Madrid zone. The U.S. hazard map shows that direct area of the New Madrid zone right there, where this earthquake struck this morning in the Carolina region, South Carolina. It's kind of outside of the main hazard zone down here around Mount Pleasant, North Charleston area. So you can see some larger seismic activity, but still located somewhat within that light green area of U.S. hazard, according to the USGS. Let's go ahead and go back here to the all magnitudes. Still got a little cough, folks, so it comes and goes. But I think I'm getting better. I'm getting better. Thank you for all the blessings and the well thoughts. Definitely working that and the medicine. Looking at the California map here, see some movement scattered out and about throughout the eastern part of the Sierra Nevadas. A little bit of uptick in movement there over the last 24 hours or so. Get a drink here. Kind of help out my my vocals a little bit. The Ridgecrest region looking a little active, especially up here in the north part. Coso Junction volcanic area seeing some heightened movement as well. Looks like 2.5 activity and a little bit lower in that region. Down south here along the south part of the San Andreas Fault looks pretty quiet. Man, maybe I should have had a cough drop. Some movement down around the Salton Sea area, just outside of the Brawley seismic zone. Looks like right on the northern end at 1.3. And the Gulf of California looking pretty quiet. Not a whole lot of movement in there being reported by the USGS right now. Working our way up north off the coast of the Salinas area. Salinas sits up here. Let's see here. Morro Bay, a little 2.8 around Point Sur, California. Way out there in the Pacific. Not for sure what fault system's out there. Here's some of those canyons and whatnot. Not a good sign there. Historically, anyway. Some movement up here south of the San Francisco area around San Mateo at 1.5 near Hillsborough. 10.3 kilometers deep. Some deep movement there along the San Andreas fault system there just south of San Francisco. And up here in the northern part of the state, just a couple small microquakes. We have not seen any renewed movement here along the Oregon area or off the coast around the Blanco fracture zone. Cascadia looks to be at least quiet for now, continue to be locked, obviously. The tremor map tonight, let's go ahead and check that out while we're looking at the Oregon area. Shows, once again, no tremor along the Cascadia subduction zone. Just a very lengthy, quiet spell. A little bit of activity scattered out and about through the Washington region around Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens. Not a whole lot of movement, just some very small microquakes and some renewed activity up here in Idaho with the Sawtooth Fault system. The northern end showing a couple twos kicking off in that region. Beautiful state of Kansas, Salina area, couple twos, 3.3. That's been up there for a while. I'm not for sure if USGS is getting to these or not. Let's see, reviewed status. So just some further aftershock activity there in the Kansas region. See what's going on up here in Alaska. A little bit of activity at the subduction zone, of course. Some deeper movement as well. Inland, 101.4 kilometers for the 1.2 near Happy Valley. Not a whole lot up through the north part of the state. This is most of it remaining, or most microquake activity around the Anchorage area, it looks like. And Lucian Trench looks pretty quiet for now. And of course, man, look, if you look at this map, guys, everything looks pretty quiet, except for some odd earthquake activity in the North American continent. That's kind of why I strongly believe the movement of course, over the last couple days, we've seen a large number of earthquakes, deep movement here along Fiji, stretching up through the Indonesia area, wrapping up around these plates here and working their way to the west, where I believe the pressure here is around the North American plate now, and we're kind of working towards the potentially the Pacific and the North American plate boundary. All the other areas of the Pacific plate look pretty quiet. Some of this is older earthquake activity from way earlier or last night. South America had some older activity as well in the southern East Pacific Rise. Not a whole lot of new movement either here in the Chile area. So right now I think we're focused here back on the North American plate. The states looking pretty active with earthquake activity, including that 4.5. So West Coast, Southern Cal, definitely should be watching for some further activity. You could see some movement in the Gulf of California ramp up once again as that pressure finally reaches over here along the plate boundary. Hawaii getting in on some activity. Then again, it's still somewhat quiet here in terms of the magnitudes of earthquakes, or multitudes of earthquakes, I should say. Looks pretty minimal. There's a few, about 23 earthquakes here on the map, but this looks kind of sparsely populated here on the amount of earthquakes for that region. One little earthquake out here, 2.1 near the Lohi Seamount. Low activity up here around Kilauea Crater, or the crater system up here. 1.8, 9 kilometers west-southwest of Volcano, Hawaii. At 4.3 kilometers. Mauna Loa, Mauna Kea all look pretty quiet. No earthquake activity to report on the Big Island, other than that southeast flank region. So just be on guard, folks. There's a lot of earthquake activity, a lot of odd earthquake activity here, and it's good to take note when stuff like that happens. It's not unheard of to see movement out here, but it's definitely good to pay attention to what's going on here to the North American plate. Let's go ahead and check out Earthquakes Canada, see if any activity is being reported here from the folks up north. Movement looks pretty confined over here to the eastern part around Quebec. A little earthquake activity within the last hour. 2.8, or not last hour, within the last, well, it's supposed to be the most recent quake, but it's been a day or so since that earthquake struck latest, so not a whole lot of movement here. If that's the latest quake 2 days ago, then this area has remained really quiet as well. You can see a lot of this movement over the last month. It's much older than a week over here along the coastline, including up here in Alaska. Not a whole lot of renewed activity, but that could change really quickly. Let's go ahead and check out the EMSC model, see what these folks are reporting far as earthquake activity goes in the well, look at this. You guys see that? I was just talking about this here. These guys have some earthquake activity ramping up in the Baja California area just as I spoke about it. See if USGS has it yet. Nope. Remember, I was just saying to watch for some further development here in the Gulf of California. And USGS has not got it yet because it looks like it just happened. But there's definitely some movement kicking up here in the Gulf region. 4.1, 4.2, couple fours kicking off there in the Gulf. Let's see, Gulf of California. That occurred after the Texas earthquake. And the looks like a little bit of movement there in the Gulf, not being reported by the USGS there. It is being reported by the EMSC. In fact, if you look at all these earthquakes here. 4.2, 4.3, 4.2, all these 4-pointers within the last few hours. And by golly, look, USGS. What's going on there, USGS? Come on, guys. I know a lot of times the USGS does watch this channel. They watch a lot of the YouTube channels and whatnot when it comes to earthquake activity and seismic activity. Maybe they get bored. Maybe they're too bored and they're not paying attention to the charts tonight because there's missing earthquake activity on the map. You know, it doesn't really surprise me, but EMSC showing quite a bit there in the Gulf of California. And it shows the last one, at least, within 8 hours and 20 minutes ago, right? As far as time goes. The latest one was just a couple of 27 minutes ago, but after the 4.3. So a lot of movement taking place here along the North American plate, Pacific plate area. And it's possible we could see renewed activity up along the West Coast and the Oregon area, the Blanco fracture zone, or the southern end of the Cascadia. We'll have to pay close attention to that. I don't know why these guys don't report it. I mean, it's obviously above 4.1 or above the 4.0 threshold that they sometimes use. You know, I don't know. Sometimes they'll throw in a 2.8 down in Chile, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, these guys are only supposed to do 4.0 and above. So who knows? I think these guys like to play little games. I don't know. It is what it is. They're in charge, not me. I can't. I don't own the USGS, but they definitely have been slacking lately. I will state that. What else we got here, folks? Yellowstone map. We will check that out. It's always a major player in activity on the North American continent. Tonight looks pretty quiet. Not a lot of movement at all. A little spike of an earthquake, it looks like, on the let's see here, hold on a second here. Yeah, that was I believe that was there this morning when I did the update. So we haven't seen any further activity kicking up here at Lake or at Yellowstone area. All looks pretty calm for now. Something's brewing down here. You guys see that? Look at this Hawks Rest and Flag Ranch. Let's see here. let me do this real quick. Something showing up here on this seismograph. Looks kind of drawn out. It also showed up over here as well. Kind of a drawn out signature of something. You kind of see it here. Not, it doesn't look like an earthquake. It kind of looks like it even showed up here in the north part too, over here as well. You guys see that? Kind of a drawn out, it almost looks like harmonic tremor. Something you'd see at an active volcano. Doesn't look like an earthquake. But then again, you know what? Hold on a second. I think I know what that is. That's got to be the 4.5 that kicked up in down in Texas, because it occurred a short time ago. But that looks odd, and it's really not being picked up on any of these northern stations way up here. But the sensitivity again could be adjusted differently. But yeah, I believe that's a 4.5. It's just kind of a drawn out earthquake there. Let's see, 0200. See when that earthquake struck down in Texas. Yeah, right around 02. Yeah, right around the 0200 mark. So yeah, that's just kind of a drawn out earthquake, that 4.5 was, looking at the seismograph stations. Let's see if we can look at any waveforms from it. What do we got? Texas contributors. Let's see if these guys are going to report it. I don't want to go through all that. Let's see if I can find out where it went to. Back out of here a little bit. A little fault plane solution here. I'll kick this back up. Yeah, just to me it looks kind of like a super drawn out earthquake. Oh man. Let's see what we got here. Not a whole lot of stations on this network here. We'll go ahead and check out this one though. Of course that's not going to let me because no data coming through for that one. Surprise, surprise, right? Let's see what else we got here. There's not a whole lot in the Texas area. There's that one. See, that kind of picked it up there, that 4.5. Just kind of drawn out, lengthy. Lasted for a few good seconds there, it looks like. Alrighty, guys. Yeah, just kind of strange earthquake activity kicking up here, so we'll be on guard. And now that we know some earthquake activity is happening here in the Gulf, I'm going to be on guard out here along the west coast in the Cascadia subduction zone here. It's gone awfully quiet here along the western Pacific Ring of Fire, and also down here to the southeast. New Zealand did have a little earthquake activity earlier. I forgot to mention that one, a 3.0, 10 kilometers. Of course, the Hikurangi subduction zone sits over here. This is not a subduction zone earthquake, striking pretty shallow. Looks like 10 kilometers there near New Plymouth, New Zealand. Hopefully that was the correct pronunciation. The Kermadec Trench looks pretty quiet. Not a whole lot of activity kicking up there at the moment. Tremor map 0. We'll check out the solar weather activity, which is kind of disappointing. We're just, we got all these massive sunspots, and they're just kind of just poking around and not doing anything. They're just not supplying us with a cool, at least for me anyway, a cool solar flare threat. 1% chance of an X flare, 80% chance of a C flare. Looks like a little elevated C flare, possibly a CME produced here earlier today. A little bit of a aurora kicking up in the northern latitudes. Geomagnetic storming expected on the 28th, 29th. 45% chance here on the higher latitudes. So it's kind of kicking up a little bit, but these they look cool. The sunspots on the sun do. In fact, if you have a telescope, you don't want to look at it, of course, with without a solar lens on it, right? It would not be good. Definitely be able to see that from a backyard type telescope, but make sure you use the solar lens. You don't want to have any. You don't want to definitely point your telescope directly at the sun. That would not be good. Or binoculars, or any camera for that matter. That would not be cool. But I might have to get me a telescope. I would love to see those sunspots, and maybe take some pictures of it. But those things are quite expensive, let me tell you. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off here. Have a good night. Stay safe out there. We will chat you guys a little bit later. Peace out.